If you're interested in pursuing financial independence, you've probably had a few questions right off the bat. Like, how do I get started? How do I know what I'm doing? And am I crazy for thinking I can achieve all this? I understand that pursuing FIRE and taking control of your finances can be an intimidating task. So I wanted to put together the simple steps you can take to reach financial freedom. I'm going to cover the 5-step path to FIRE. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of where you currently stand and how far you still have to go. Every situation is different, and that's why it's called personal finance. However, I do believe that these are the general guidelines one can follow to help them get started down the right path. So, let's begin. Step 1. Cover your basic living expenses. I know that it can be tough at times to have enough money to make ends meet month to month, but your first step to financial independence is having enough income or cash flow that you can cover your weekly and monthly expenses. The first financial priority is being able to pay for the things you need. This means groceries, clothes, a train ticket to get to work. If you can't take care of yourself and your current cost of living, we can't even begin to think about paying off our debt, investing, or building wealth. If you aren't able to cover your current living expenses, then there's two things you can do to change this. You can either increase your current income or decrease the amount of money you spend each month. This means only spending money where it really matters. I hate to break it to you, but Uber Eats, nights out on the town, and a bunch of random streaming services that you don't really use aren't necessities. If you're having trouble cutting back your costs and can't meet your basic living expenses, look at where your money keeps going and truly see if it's a necessity or if it's something you can live without. Once you have your current cost of living covered, you can move on to step 2. Step 2, pay off debts. More specifically, high interest debts. Hopefully you know this already, but debt is not your friend. In fact, it's one of the scariest guys around. It has a really bad habit of creating a lot of heartache and eating away at your net worth very quickly. Hey kid, I'm taking your money and I'm charging interest. Oh my gosh, how much interest are you charging? 22%. That's just criminal. I'll be back next month. I consider any debt with an interest rate above 8% to be high interest debt. A big culprit of these is credit cards. You should never use a credit card unless you intend to pay off the monthly balance in full every time you use it. This is because the late fees on credit cards are insanely high. If the interest rate on your debt is higher than what you can expect to gain from your money being invested in the stock market, then you have high interest debt. One of the most important steps to FIRE is paying off high interest debt. If you only continue to pay the bare minimum month after month, this will only mean that your debt will continue to grow. This is because the power of compound interest is working against you. I know it can be intimidating and scary to look at your debts and try and tackle these things head on, but I highly encourage you to look at your debt and start paying them off immediately. Once you've paid off your high interest debts, you're ready to move on to step 3. Step number 3 is start an emergency fund. An emergency fund is typically made up of $1,000 or more. I know that number may sound intimidating, but just take it day by day, paycheck by paycheck. An emergency fund allows you to keep your bases covered. According to a survey done by CNBC, 56% of Americans would not be able to cover an emergency expense of $1,000 or more. That's only one car crash, one medical bill, one accident away, and you're in trouble. You never know when something will come up and you need the money right away. You don't want to have to charge this expense to a credit card because then you're just delaying the payment and you're going to have to pay interest on top of that. I suggest having 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside for your emergency fund. This means take what you spend each month. Food, transportation, clothes, maybe dog food, multiply it by 3, set it aside, and put it into a high yield savings account with your bank. Once you have that completed, you're ready to move on to step 4. All right, step number 4. This is the big one. This is the one you've all been waiting for. Start investing. Investing is essentially your superpower. You may not understand why or how, but the sooner you can start investing, the better. The power of compound interest is working on your side. You can reasonably expect your money to grow at an average rate of 8 to 10% compounded annually if you invest in broad market index funds such as VOO or VTSAX. Investing takes a lot of patience and discipline, but just know it is the proven way to build wealth. Sorry, my dog's barking. But for now, I'm just trying to cover the basics of your money and make more money with it. I understand investing allows you to take your money and make it work for you. It grows over time, and the longer you have it invested, the more wealth you can build. We'll go way deeper in these topics about investing in future videos, but for right now, I'm just trying to cover the basics of the 5 steps to FIRE. So keep an eye out in the future for some more videos on this subject. The final step to achieving financial freedom is paying off low interest debts. Step number 5. Now, you may be wondering why we waited to pay off debts until the end. That's because if the interest rate on the debt that you owe is lower than the rate at which your money can grow invest in the stock market, you're able to still build wealth and have your money outpace the rate of your debt's growth. To make this a little simpler, if you have money invested and you know you can expect it to grow around 10% a year, and you have a debt that's growing around 3% a year, your investments are going to grow faster and outpace the debt. Your net worth will still continue to go up, even with debt growing as well. If it brings you a better peace of mind knowing that you're completely debt-free, I do feel like steps 4 and 5 are kind of interchangeable. You don't have to invest and then pay off your low interest debts. You could pay off your debts, then invest, or you could be doing that at the same time, simultaneously. There's no rule that says indifferently. The main thing to keep in mind is all about interest rates. The higher the interest rate, the higher the priority. An example of this could be a mortgage on a house. This is typically a low interest debt that you can hold for up to 30 years, but it makes more mathematical sense to have that money invested instead of paying all that house off up front. That's because the longer your money is invested, the longer you have time to build wealth. So by this time, we know that we need to have our basic living costs covered. We need to pay off all our high interest debt. We need to have emergency savings set aside, and we can have our money working for us through investments. Now you can take it a little easier and begin to pay off your low interest debts while you continue to invest month after month. Over time, your investments will build and grow your net worth. So that's really all there is to the simple path to financial freedom. I tried to break it down into these 5 steps that you can follow. And if you want more information on these steps and how you can achieve them, subscribe to the channel. I plan to release more videos in the future, having a deeper dive into each of these subjects. If you gained some value from today's video, I would appreciate a like, and if there's any topics you want me to cover in future videos, leave it down below in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it brought you some insight and some more value, and with it being the end of 2022, I'd like to say this is probably a good opportunity to start 2023 on a new path, the path to financial freedom. With that, I wanted to say happy holidays, and remember, let's keep this fire spreading. Hey guys, I just thought I'd come in real quick. I was editing the video and I kind of wanted to make this and kind of give a shout out and a thanks to all the other content creators that have influenced me and taught me all this information so that I can now share it with you all. It's not like I just knew this information off the bat. It's taken me over a year of really dedicated research and so many podcasts and YouTube channels that have really taught me so much information. One that really stands out to me is Steve Antonioni. His channel is awesome and he has such great content. So if you like what I'm doing, I'd say give him a view and maybe subscribe to his channel. He's a great guy. There's a great podcast called Choose F.I.R.E. They teach so much and they've been doing it for so long that they bring a ton of value to the community. I just wanted to make it clear, I don't know this stuff out of nowhere. It's thanks to these people and their hard work that I've been able to learn this information and now pass it on to you. So that's all I was wanting to say. I just want to kind of give them a shout out and a thanks. And happy holidays.